You keep telling yourself, I'll start when I feel ready. But let me ask you something. How many moments in your life have you already lost waiting for that feeling? Motivation is the most unreliable friend you've ever had. It shows up late, it cancels plans, and worst of all, it only comes when it feels like it. Meanwhile, your dreams, they're sitting there collecting dust, whispering, "What about me? Let's be real." You don't need another pep talk. You've heard enough of those. What you need is a mirror momentum code, honest reflection that says, it's not motivation I lack, it's movement. Because the truth is, action creates motivation, not the other way around. Every time you take a step, even a small one, you create energy. You build momentum. You teach your brain, I'm doing this whether I feel like it or not. But here's the strange part. People worship motivation like it's some sacred power. They wait for the perfect morning, the right mindset, or a sign from the universe. And all that waiting, it becomes a trap. A soft, seductive trap that feels safe because doing nothing doesn't hurt right away. But it does something worse. It numbs you. It keeps you comfortably stuck while your potential quietly suffocates behind excuses. Listen carefully. Winners don't rely on moods. They rely on systems. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired. Focus doesn't ask for permission. Momentum doesn't wait for inspiration. It demands consistency. The people you admire, the ones you call successful, they didn't feel motivated every day. They just kept showing up until showing up became a habit. And that's the real secret. They stopped waiting to feel ready and started to act ready. Because feelings follow action. You lift one weight, you feel stronger. You write one paragraph, you feel creative. You show up once, and suddenly the voice in your head that said not today starts to lose power. That's how motivation is built, through friction, not fantasy. So maybe right now, you're at edge. You've been watching videos, reading quotes, scrolling through success stories thinking, yeah, one day I'll start. But here's a little truth bomb: a day is never coming. There's no magic spark waiting in the future. The only moment you ever had power over is this one. Right here, right now. Because action doesn't wait for clarity, action creates clarity. And every time you move, no matter how small, you light up something inside you that's been asleep for far too long. That spark, that's not motivation. That's momentum being born. And momentum, my friend, is unstoppable once it starts rolling. So before you tell yourself maybe tomorrow, remember this: motivation fades, but momentum compounds. You don't need the perfect mindset, you just need a single move. One step forward, one decision made, one promise kept. That's how you stop waiting. That's how you start winning now. You know what separates dreamers from doers. It's not intelligence, talent, or luck, it's motion. While most people wait for the perfect time, the doers are already halfway through the race. They understand something most people ignore. Motivation doesn't start the fire, action does. And the funny thing is, once that fire starts, motivation runs toward it. It feeds off the flames you build. Let me tell you something powerful: success rarely begins with excitement. It begins with resistance. That heavy feeling in your chest when you don't want to get out of that voice whispering, you can skip it today. That's where discipline is born. Discipline isn't glamorous, it's not Instagram worthy, but it's the only muscle that turns average lives into unstoppable forces. Think about it. You brush your teeth every morning, right? You don't wait to feel inspired for that. You just do it because it's part of who you are. Now imagine if you treated your goals the same way. Imagine if progress became a daily ritual instead of an emotional roller coaster. That's the shift that changes everything. You stop chasing feelings and start building habits. Most people keep asking, how do I stay motivated? But that's the wrong question. The right one is, how do I make movement non-negotiable? Because when action becomes your default mode, motivation becomes irrelevant. You'll still feel tired. You'll still doubt yourself, but you'll move anyway. And that's what makes you dangerous, because consistency beats confidence every time. Here's a truth most won't tell you. Motivation is like caffeine. It gives you a quick buzz, but it fades fast. Discipline, that's nutrition. It fuels you from the inside out. It's what keeps you steady when life gets messy, when no one's clapping for you, when the results are invisible but your effort is screaming. That's where winners are forged, in silence, in the unseen hours, in the repetition no one celebrates. So, the next time you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, pause. Ask yourself this: how many tomorrows have already passed you by? The clock doesn't care about your excuses, and neither does your potential. Every day you delay, the gap between who you are and who you could be grows wider. And that gap is filled with regret, not rest. You don't need another source of motivation. You need proof, and that proof comes from action. Every small win is evidence that you're capable. Every completed task is a vote for the person you're becoming. You don't wake up disciplined, you earn it. One decision at a time. And when that happens, something shifts inside you. You start trusting yourself. You start realizing, wait, I can depend on me. That's when you stop chasing motivation and start mastering momentum. Because when you can trust your own follow-through, the world can't stop you anymore. Let's talk about momentum, because once you understand it, you'll realize it's more valuable than motivation will ever be. Momentum doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't care about how you feel. It feeds on motion, on repetition, on commitment. Once it starts rolling, it becomes a force that drags you forward even when you think you're done. That's the power most people never unlock, because they quit too early, right before the spark turns into fire. Here's the truth: the beginning always feels slow. That's why people stop. You don't see results, you don't feel different, and you start thinking, maybe this isn't for me. But what if that silence, that frustration, that moment when nothing seems to change, that's the test? Because that's where momentum hides. It's invisible at first, buried under consistency that no one claps for. You've got to be willing to look ridiculous in the process of becoming unstoppable. You've got to show up when no one notices, when your effort feels invisible. That's where strength is built. Every step, every repetition, every decision, keep after the excitement fades, those are bricks. And sooner or later, those bricks become your foundation. You don't rise because you were lucky. You rise because you were relentless. The focus is the fuel that keeps that momentum alive. But in a world full of distractions, most people can't even stay with one goal long enough to see it grow. They plant the seed, walk away, and then wonder why nothing's blooming. Focus means loyalty to your vision, to your purpose, to your growth. It means saying no to 99 things so you can give your best yes to one thing that actually matters. And let's be honest, it's hard. The mind wants novelty. It wants the rush of something new, not the discipline of something consistent. That's why most people never finish what they start. They confuse boredom with failure, when in reality, boredom is just a sign that greatness is forming quietly in the background. The work may feel repetitive, but repetition is how mastery is written into your DNA. Let that sink in for a second. Every time you push through resistance, you're not just building a skill, you're building identity. You're proving to yourself that you're capable of doing hard things. And once you realize that, life starts bending in your favor. You stop depending on external energy and start generating your own. That's when focus becomes your weapon and momentum becomes your armor. So if you're tired of starting over, stop stopping. Stay with the process long enough for it to reward you. Momentum rewards loyalty. Discipline rewards time. And when both come together, motivation doesn't even enter the conversation anymore because you've evolved past it. You're not chasing a feeling anymore, you're chasing a standard. And once that switch flips in your head, you'll understand you were never waiting for motivation. Motivation was waiting for you to move first. There's a moment in every journey where you stop asking how long will it take and start saying as long as it takes. That's the moment determination takes over. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, steady, and deeply personal. Determination isn't about hype, it's about identity. It's when you decide that quitting isn't an option, no matter how slow progress feels. You see, success isn't a race against others, it's a battle with your own hesitation. And the enemy isn't fear, it's comfort. Comfort whispers, you've done enough for today when you haven't even started. It convinces you that mediocrity is peace, when it's actually the slow death of your potential. Determination is what silences that voice. It's what makes you get up again and again, even when your excuses sound logical. Think about it, every person who made it big had one thing in common. They kept showing up when it didn't make sense to. They didn't wait for applause. They didn't wait for signs. They acted in faith, not feelings. Because discipline without determination is routine, but discipline with determination becomes transformation. That's the moment your effort starts rewriting your story. Here's the strange thing about winning, it rarely feels like winning while you're in it. It feels like doubt, exhaustion, and endless repetition. But when you push through that fog, you start realizing that all those hard days were building something under the surface, a new level of self-respect. You start to see yourself as the kind of person who follows through, and that self-image changes everything. You begin to attract opportunities that match your new standard. And here's where momentum turns into mastery. When you act from determination, your energy changes. You walk differently, you speak differently, and people can sense it because consistency creates confidence. And confidence, when rooted in hard work, becomes magnet. That's why people follow leaders who move with purpose. They can feel that conviction is real. Let's be honest though, there will still be days when you feel like you're going backward. That's fine. Progress doesn't move in straight lines, it moves in cycles. Some days you grow, others you grind. But as long as you keep showing up, even when the fire feels dim, you're still winning. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's perseverance. You don't need to be the strongest, the smartest, or the fastest. You just need to be the one who refuses to give up when it gets inconvenient. That's how you separate yourself from the crowd. You stop relying on emotional highs and start operating on personal standards. That's determination. It's not about waiting for the stars to align. It's about moving even when they don't. And when you reach that point, motivation becomes something you laugh about because you realize the truth. It was never about feeling ready. It was about becoming unstoppable. If you've come this far, you've already proven something to yourself. You're not the type to quit. You're the type who listens until the message hits the soul. So, let me leave you with this. Life doesn't reward those who wait for the right feeling. It rewards those who move through the wrong ones. Because the secret to success isn't motivation, it's motion. It's doing what needs to be done long after the mood you started with is gone. Every great life begins with a decision, a line drawn in the sand that says, I'm done waiting. I'm done doubting. I'm doing this. That single choice, repeated every day, builds something no one can take away from you, self-respect. You start trusting your word. You stop negotiating with excuses. And suddenly, you realize you were never chasing motivation. You were chasing integrity. When your actions match your words, you become powerful beyond measure because you're no longer seeking approval, you're seeking progress. That's what turns ordinary people into unstoppable ones. Motivation may give you a spark, but discipline keeps your fire burning through the storms. And when discipline becomes your default, success stops being a question, it becomes a consequence. You don't have to overhaul your entire life today. Just take one step. Write one sentence. Make one decision. Small actions stack into something unstoppable. That's how you build momentum. That's how you build identity. That's how you win now. Because life doesn't wait for you to feel inspired, it rewards you when you act inspired. Every time you take control, every time you push forward without waiting for the right moment, you're rewriting your story. You're proving that the old version of you, the one who waited, who hesitated, is done. A new one just took their place. One built on action, focus, and unshakable determination. And if you ever feel like the world is testing your strength, remember this: those tests aren't sent to break you, they're sent to reveal you. You can't build resilience in comfort. You build it in chaos, in pressure, in the moments that stretch your limits. Because the strongest version of you doesn't show up when it's easy. It shows up when everything in you says stop, and you still whisper, one more step. So stop waiting for the perfect plan, or the perfect mindset, or the perfect day. Start now. With what you have, the way you are. Because the truth is, the longer you wait for motivation, the longer motivation waits for you. And when you're ready to go even deeper, when you want to understand why so many people fail to take responsibility for their own greatness, watch the next video, The Shocking Truth About Why to Fail. It's going to change the way you see purpose, discipline, and success forever. If this message lit something in you, subscribe to Wisdom Recorder, your knowledge source. Like the video, share it with someone who's been waiting for a sign and remind them the sign is action.